So, this is the next part of my talk, 6 great reasons to understand karma. I love this photograph because you can see that the rainbow is on this side of those trees at the end of my backyard. Uh, there is a pot of gold in understanding karma. So, 6 great reasons. The first reason is to get what you want in life, materially and spiritually, and leave your body with satisfaction. We don't want to have deathbed regret where we worried about um, the things we didn't do or the things we did too much of on the last moments of our lives here on earth. And if we understand karma, we understand the import of what we do, what we think, and how we act. And the second reason to understand karma is to have a life review you are pleased with. After you die, you have a life review. On the other side, you've dropped your body, you move towards the light, and you have the opportunity to review your life. And during that time, you feel what the people around you felt as a result of your actions. And that's a fairly sobering idea. I know for me to think of all the times I have hurt others, perhaps on purpose or perhaps unwittingly. And there will be great regret at that time and remorse at that time for having hurt people in that way. And so that's another reason to understand karma now, here in the body. The third reason to understand karma is your life is precious. You have paid for this body with your good punya karma from previous lifetimes. So use it wisely by understanding the value of this lifetime, understanding the value of the body that you have. It's healthy, it's whole, it's strong. You have breath in your lungs, and it's a huge opportunity to enhance your spiritual growth, your soul's growth, to experience the karmas that you've put forth in the past with good grace and sense of humor. And the fourth reason to understand karma is that karma determines your rebirth next time. As you accumulate good karma, it gives you more choices next time. Imagine you're in a grocery store shopping for your next lifetime. If you only have $1.50 to spend, you can only buy so much. But if you have $350,000 to spend on your next lifetime, you can live it up with a good family and loving parents and friends that'll stand by you in your life. So the fifth reason to understand reincarnation is, this is a quote from Sal Kelly from Soul Integration. Once you begin to realize that you've been caught up in illusions, you also become aware that you have built up a large momentum of bad experience due to the length of time you have been descended into darkness. Therefore, you begin the seemingly long and arduous process of overcoming these lifetimes of bad karma. So eventually you work through the majority of your bad lifetimes and balance your karma sufficiently to get off the wheel of reincarnation. Through forgiveness, kind deeds, love, and compassion, you stop creating more karma and become a positive force for change in the world. At this point, you are free to move on into other realms and dimensions of experience. And so karma motivates us to focus on the larger task of getting free of reincarnation eventually. It also helps us to see the world through the lens of karma and how this world is perfect for each of us, perfect for our spiritual education and our soul growth. Whatever we are going through right now, good, bad, or indifferent, is tailor-made for us. And if we just look down on the ground, at the ground, like these horses in this image, we can fill lifetime after lifetime with activity and get nowhere. if we step back, lift our heads, look around, assess the bigger picture in the understanding of karma, we have a chance to break free of the cycle of reincarnation. And the sixth reason to understand karma is that it gives us the opportunity to move beyond the cycle of birth and death on earth by one of two ways. By working our way up through the dimensions, by accruing massive amounts of good punya karma, by being loving, wise, we ascend. That's what this image shows. Various levels of our self at levels of dimensional realities. So as we accrue good karma, we have the potential, as for example, Jesus is said to have done. He ascended into another realm where he is also still alive as the man he was in a sense, and yet also available to come and go. The Bhagavad Gita lists what one must do specifically to ascend, and it is a very long, elaborate, and difficult list. Christine Mercy, in the book Sons of God, asks how one ascends and is told that one has rent the veil of unbelief, that they are eligible to ascend. And we all exist in our human bodies with various degrees of belief in the fact that there is more to this life than is apparent in this 3D world. And when we can live in this 3D world fully confident that we know that this world is way more than what we can see, fully confident that there is only love, that we are all interconnected aspects of this oneness, then we have the opportunity to move into higher realms, as illustrated here in this sixth reason. And the sixth reason continues on. By knowing who I truly am, I attain moksha. So moksha is freedom or enlightenment, i.e. freedom from identification with the body as who I am brings moksha. This knowledge negates the individual self-identity and thus the one who does actions. Hence the karma creating entity is gone. And so karma happens for us individuals when we do things. But if we realize that we are not an individual, we no longer accrue karma. We no longer create karma because we have surrendered our individual karma creating identity. We've turned it in, we've cashed in our chips, if you will. And we move through this world in these bodies as that greater self, as consciousness itself, as perhaps our higher self moving through this life. We could say we are God's eyes, ears, and hands and feet. So karma and the world's impressions are like the water on this lotus leaf. The drop of water sits on the leaf and doesn't penetrate it. It doesn't even wet it. And as an enlightened being, the world's events, like the water droplet, don't touch us. So that leaf, that enlightened leaf, is not impacted by the water upon it. So that's how it is for us as we develop spiritually and understand who we are in a very expansive sense as consciousness. The events of the world no longer touch us in the same way. We don't become soggy and waterlogged from the things that shower down upon us. We are resilient and buoyant and ever lifted and looking towards the light and the sun. So the summary of the 6 great reasons to understand karma is to get what you want in life, materially and spiritually. 2, to have a life review you are pleased with. 3, to understand how precious your human body and this lifetime are. 4, Karma determines your rebirth, which is very important in childhood, in a next lifetime. And 5, it puts your world into deep multi-lifetime perspective. And so you can make the best of your lifetime here by creating punya karma instead of papa karma, which gives you more choices down the line. And karma is the means, number 6, by which you move beyond reincarnation, which is done in one of 2 ways: by accruing massive amounts of punya karma and ascending, thus working your way up through the material dimensions, or by attaining moksha, which is enlightenment, and thus knowing without a doubt that you are consciousness and not the body. The actualization of this knowledge of your true identity is what sets you free of karma, because you no longer claim action as an individual. And so this brings us to part 4, considerations for taking karmic action. So, how do we take action using our knowledge of karma? Well, first we must have the right attitude. To do the actions we do with the right attitude means to be doing them with generosity of heart and willingness. To do things, the second karmic responsibility is to take right action. We need to do the right action in response to the situation that is presented to us. The third thing is we need to do our actions in right timing. We can't be way too late. We can't be way too early with our action. And once we have put forth our actions, we need to allow the information field, the karmic field, to determine what the results are of those actions. So the results are not up to me. So I just need to receive those actions with good grace. And there is a quote, all things work together for good. There are no exceptions except in the ego's judgment. And so we need to take all occurrences as a gift from God or a gift from the information field, like this wonderful quote from Forrest Gump, the movie. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. And one bit of advice my guides gave to me at a difficult time in my life, and perhaps a bit of advice you might give yourself in hard times, is this: to surrender what is. Surrender is a state of non-judgment about what is. What the universe offers up in each and every moment is perfect. To see that is a wonderful thing. When one sees from this perspective, there is a clarity that follows, a wisdom that flows, and a serenity that emanates. And so this is a quote from Swami Paramarthananda. I understand that all my problems in life aren't caused by the world, but caused by my wrong handling of the world because of my ignorance. We can't be expected to do everything right all the time, but we can be expected to learn from our experiences and the corrections that the world offers us in the way of perhaps stubbing our toe at various levels of experience. So the summary of considerations for taking right action are right attitude, right action, right timing, and the results are a gift from God. And so acceptance of the results of my actions minimizes my agitation and further negative karma and creates a peaceful mind. And ultimately, we all want to be happy. We all want to have a peaceful mind. And when we act appropriately in right timing with the right attitude, we create for ourselves a peaceful mind and a more peaceful world around us. And so now let's talk about the yogas. 2 yogas I'm going to talk about today. The yogas were developed to make us worthy of attaining our goals. Yoga connects the person with the goal. So all of us want to be happy. That's our goal in all the things we do. And happiness is a manifestation of a peaceful mind. And happiness is available to us through our peaceful mind when we know who we truly are, as well as consciousness, as part of the interconnected field of existence. But in order to find and maintain ourselves in a peaceful place, in a expansive, generous frame of mind, in order to take right action karmically, sometimes we need to do a little bit of yoga. So karma yoga purifies our mind, and Upasana yoga clarifies our mind. And a pure, clear, still mind reflects the light of God, or the light of consciousness, or the light of oneness. So let's talk about karma yoga. Karma yoga is a daily practice in service to a better future. It's devotion, heartfelt prayer, worship of God, the source, or the one. So every day, some sort of launching a prayer off. Thank you, Lord, for making this world a more loving and peaceful place. Thank you, Lord, for feeding all the people on this earth so that all the children are cared for, all the animals are treated with respect and joy, and how the earth herself is loved and valued. Something like that every day. And also, every day, gratitude to our ancestors. Thank you, Mom and Dad. Thank you, grandparents. Thank you, all the elders of our society that have given us their wisdom and created the infrastructures and understandings that have helped us in this life. We don't want to look to them and hold on to the frequency of the earth when they lived. We want to hold on to the highest ideals, the greatest visionaries, and the greatest understandings they have, so that we might create a new world, more expansive, more loving, more compassionate. And we stand upon the shoulders of our ancestors as we do that. The third karma yoga task each day is gratitude to the spiritual teachers. The rishis are those who we have gratitude to in the Vedanta means of knowledge lineage. Chanting, reading scripture, teaching others of oneness. I mean, how do you help a teacher? You pass on what you learned from them. That's what this is about. Pass on your understanding, your experiences of oneness. That's how you can serve the greatest good. The fourth karma yoga practice is human social service. Do things for others. Right now in March of 2020, many people are sewing face masks to serve the shortage that's occurring all around our country at this time. So serve your fellow humans, volunteer, teach, do what you can. And the fifth is contributions to all life forms, to the animals, to the plants, to the earth, to all life. Pick up trash, do the recycling, be an advocate for better pollution laws. As you walk out on the world today, out in the earth today, go barefoot and say thank you, thank you, thank you with every footstep. So these karmic actions, karma yoga actions, serve to create punya karma and to uplift the world and the earth and all of life. And there's a second kind of yoga called Upasana yoga, which is meditation or worship yoga, which prepares our physical and our subtle bodies for meditation. Upasana means to see the mind. When we sit quietly and force ourselves to be still, we see those impulses to jump up, to do, to think about, to be angry. So we see the process of thinking. And in Upasana yoga, there are three areas of conditioning of body, speech, and mind. So I'm going to go through those. First is the physical body. So one who cannot voluntarily give time for health will have to forcibly give time for disease. Well, that's kind of a horrible thought, but it has its truth. And so we really do need to take care of this physical vessel we live in. Feed it well, get good fresh air, get oxygen, exercise, those things that you all know ought to be done. So the body provides a stable base for sitting comfortably without distractions in meditation. And like an airplane must be airworthy and a car must be roadworthy, a marathon runner must be in shape for a long distance race, you too must be worthy to know who you truly are as consciousness. Upasana Yoga is a personality conditioning program that makes us fit and worthy to achieve our goals. We need to learn to eat and sleep in moderation, and these guidelines help us to ultimately be able to meditate in a sense where we are comfortable and at ease and at peace. Anthony William, author of Medical Medium, is my health guru and has transformed my health and eating habits. I highly recommend it. And the second Upasana Yoga after the physical body is speech. There are 4 verbal conditioning practices. Ahimsa is do no harm with your speech. The second one, or be kind, do not abuse, do not criticize, no blaming, no gossip, no arguments. Essentially, figure out what you don't like others to do and don't do it to anyone else. So ahimsa is the first practice of Upasana Yoga. Do no harm with your speech. Truthfulness is the second one. This quote is, without discipline of speech, God is beyond reach. And there is something to that, because when we are not truthful, we set ourselves out of alignment. In this image here, there's a straight line between the top of the head and this flowering understanding or consciousness flowering. If we do not tell the truth, we create a kink in it and we lose our worthiness, our self-imposed worthiness to receive at this level. The third Upasana Yoga practice is pleasantness. Be polite and soft and pleasing. Do not shout or speak over loud. In the next slide, I'm going to share an image I did after swearing loudly under my breath, and the result that happened from that, which actually was quite wonderful. But pleasantness of speech is something to keep in mind. And shitam, which is speak what is good for the listener. So don't tell a story or make a point that your listener is uninterested in hearing. Long messages may be broken up into smaller portions, and you might want to check for the attentiveness after a few minutes of speaking something to see if your listener is actually interested. And so this is what happened to me years ago. I was walking down a small country road with my son in a baby carriage, and a car came barreling down the road and didn't shift over or slow down. And so I pushed my son's carriage into the bushes off the road and said, Jesus, with a great, upset and scowling at this man driving the car. And as I looked at the car, I saw Jesus with his hands through the roof of the car on the steering wheel. And he was looking off and smiling at me like, I got this covered, nothing to worry about. I felt so loved and cared for. And so the third Upasana yoga is the mind. We covered the body and healthful practices. We covered the speech. And the third Upasana yoga is the mind. So we went from the densest, the body, to the speech, to less dense, to the mind, to the more subtle. So this is meditation. 4 types of meditation are as this part of Upasana yoga. Relaxation meditation eradicates all restlessness. I used to go to a Chinese doctor in New York City named Dr. Shen. He recommended all of his patients sit still and do nothing 5 minutes a day. So you just sit with your hands on your knees, with your spine erect, close your eyes, and do nothing for 5 minutes. If you've never meditated, you'll have an opportunity to see your impulses to get up and move and what your mind is doing. And if you do this on a daily basis, it's a very good spiritual discipline and practice. The second one is focus or concentration meditation, which helps us to have right response to the world. Things like chanting and worship or japa meditation, repetition helps us to do this as well. The third one is expansion meditation, expansion to the totality of creation. It helps us to see ourselves as part of a greater whole when we move our perspective to larger and larger and larger aspects. For example, seeing ourselves, right where we are in our room, then imagining ourselves higher up and higher up until we're just seeing the entire world down beneath us. And realizing we are part of it all, and it is all a part of us. It actually all exists within us as consciousness. And so there's a saying from Swami Paramarthananda's teaching: watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become your actions. Watch your actions, they become your habits. And your habits, they become your character. And your character becomes your destiny. So understanding who we are in that expansive sense at a very micro level helps us to ultimately create who we are at a macro understanding in a beautiful, beautiful way through these disciplines of Upasana yoga. The fourth kind of meditation is transformation of thought pattern meditation. When we learn to focus first upon consciousness as our true self, and then ultimately as consciousness upon the world, we have the opportunity to transform both ourselves and the world. And meditation helps us to be mindful as we go through life, thus not creating any further unwanted karmas, and being able to respond and not react to life. And so, in summary, Upasana yoga conditions the body, the speech, and the mind to function as a team for a steady mind. And the body, at the level of a body, our health is our greatest treasure. So follow the universal laws of health. And speech, do no harm. Be truthful, be pleasant. Speak what is good for the listener. And mind, meditate for relaxation, for focus, for expansion, and for transformation. And so the yogas are like stairs that get us to our destination of freedom. We are already free as consciousness. And when we practice the yogas, we have the opportunity to realize this, to remember this, to cultivate this aspect of understanding and knowledge of who we are. And happiness is what comes as a manifestation of our peaceful mind. A peaceful mind is the intermediary between who we believe ourselves to be in the body and who we truly are as consciousness, which is the source of all happiness. Another quote from Teilhard de Chardin: joy is the infallible sign of the presence of God. And so understanding karma and practicing the yogas trains and guides us to act from the knowledge of the unity of all things, helping us to be at peace and in harmony with the world around us. This endless knot illustration is a metaphor for the world we live in. All things affect all other things, and throughout all time and space, we will put forth and receive this very same thing. Like a spider web, our actions impact the whole. And karma is the feedback loop mechanism of how we are affecting the whole. And karma and understanding karma is a gateway to knowing who we truly are as consciousness. Because our ultimate destination in this life or another is to understand who we are beyond the body, beyond our physical separate existence. And the only rush is that it will set us free from thinking that we are separate from all around us, and set us free from the suffering we feel as humans on earth. Otherwise, we have all the lifetimes in the world to realize it. But if we want to move beyond suffering, the study of karma, the study of who we truly are as consciousness, is in our best interest. I'd like to say thank you very much to Swami Paramarthananda, to Swami Svatmananda, Ramji James Swartz, Mark Newkirk, the Self-Realization Fellowship, and all the teachers and the rishis and the teachers of oneness and demonstrators in this world of love and our interconnectedness who have made this talk possible. It was done recently at October Gardens Yoga and Meditation Center in Goshen, Connecticut. And my name is Frida Moran. I used to go by Hope Moran. And I have a website, which is www.hopeives.com. And on that website, you'll find inspiration books, blogs, and artwork for recognizing our oneness. Thank you so very much for your attention, and I look forward to meeting you in person in a karmic sense. So much grace and blessings are present for us here on this earth, and I wish you all the very, very best.